Welcome back to another video brought to you by your one and only Literary Feru. I wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of, number one, the importance of time and the importance of health. Because we live in this time-space capsule and we're ruled by time, it's very difficult to devote time to taking care of yourself. And I understand the realities of those things. A lot of times I'll get on here and I'm trying to motivate people to do better in terms of their health, exercise, watching what you eat, staying away from processed foods and staying away from ultra processed foods. I do that a lot. But even in doing that, I still carry the full weight of understanding that it's difficult to do, not in practice, but in theory, factoring in the types of lives that we live. The industrial complex that we are under, the matrix system that forces all of us to be industrial slaves, has in a way robbed us of the time that we have for ourselves. And it's also robbed us of the time that's required to actually devote attention to your own personal health. It's very hard to do that. So what happens is that because we're so busy, the gallery, the matrix, I call it a gallery as well, because it's sort of like when you walk into a mall and you have a gallery of stores around you, and the gallery of stores around you are supposed to entice you to come inside the store and purchase things and purchase items. And the world we live in is sort of like a gallery. It's sort of like a mall in the sense that the system is put here to subdue your health. And if you can subdue people's health and keep people functioning below their optimal capacity, then you're just leaving room for that person to be oppressed. Not just societal oppression and economic oppression, financial oppression. I'm talking about being oppressed from a health perspective. And I would argue that being oppressed from a health perspective is far more severe and far more significant to your well-being as a human being than those other forms of oppression. Yes, all forms of oppression are not good. But if you are oppressed from a health perspective, health-wise, then it doesn't matter about the other things become moot. It becomes a moot point to even try to fight back against the other oppressive systems, because what good is it to fight against oppressive systems when the only system, your own personal biosystem, is in a perpetual state of death? It doesn't really make sense. How can you actually embrace what you're fighting for? So let's say you fight for something and you gain what you're fighting for. People who are fighting for freedom are fighting for opportunities. And let's say doors open and things do evolve in a way that's beneficial to you. What good is that benefit to you when you are dying slowly and you can't even embrace or receive what you fought for in its fullest capacity because you are oppressed biochemically and you are oppressed from a health perspective? It's very difficult. You can't really embrace life in its fullest gamut when you are oppressed from a biochemical perspective. When your health is in dire need of being put in equilibrium and being put back to homeostasis, it makes life that much more unlivable. Meaning that you can't really embrace life in its fullest. Yeah, you're living, you're alive, but you can't even see things the way you're supposed to see them. You can't even embrace the sun the way you're supposed to embrace the sun. You don't even know how it feels to wake up and feel good about waking up. You don't even understand what good sleep feels like. But because you've been operating in such a sub-state, or a state that's underneath the pristine state, because you've been operating at such a lower level, that lower level becomes your norm. So in other words, your bar is lowered. So you think that the way you're living is optimal, but it actually isn't, because you haven't seen the other side of the fence. You haven't even experienced what true life is like. So I understand how hard that can be to try to incorporate a lifestyle that allows you or gives you the opportunity to get the things that you naturally need. There's a guy on YouTube named he goes by Dr. Yaqui Awaken. And I implore anyone who's listening to me right now to go to his channel. And he has a bunch of stuff on there. And I don't really follow him that much. I am subscribed to him, but I don't watch his videos a lot. Because a lot of the things that he says I already kind of know already. But it's a good start. He's a great teacher of how to live life. And if you see his transformation, he was a self-proclaimed vegan for decades. But what he did, he was eating processed vegan foods and thought that, oh, that's healthy because I'm classifying myself as vegan. This is a guy that he's a doctor, and I tell people this all the time. The journey to optimal health is a journey. Key word, journey. He's always wanted to be healthy. If you look at his story, he almost died of a heart attack, of heart problems. This was in his early 20s. He smoked, he did drugs, he drank alcohol, like he did what the typical person does. And when he got the near-death call, when the doctor came to him and told him, hey, look, the next time I see you, you may not even be here, you may be dead. That was his awakening. So I guess the term Yaqui Awakened, I think that's the play on his name, YaquiAwakened.com. If you go to his website, or if you go to his YouTube page. And from that moment, he literally awakened. He started juicing and started, finding out the different things that he can put into his body. I often tell people all the time that usually when you have a passionate journey about something, it's because you've been faced with something that's been very, very dire and very, very extreme. He nearly died. He was nearly on his deathbed at the age of 23, 22. He was very young. And he always had bad health. He ate bad as a youth. I mean, he always ate bad. I mean, that's just what he did. He was into gang activity. He was living the low vibrational life. Let me just say it that way. He was living a life that was deeply vibrate on a very, very low level. And he came out of it. But usually it takes for people to face something very, very extreme for them to extrapolate themselves out of that extreme circumstance to see the other side. Because like they say, the saying is that you truly don't believe in a higher power until you've seen the lowest of lowest powers. You don't really believe in a God until you've seen the devil. That's just the term that I'm using, the paraphrase. So in other words, in order for you to respect the other extreme, you need to sometimes experience the juxtaposed extreme. You really can't appreciate light until you've been in the darkest of rooms. So this guy, Yaqui, he almost experienced death. He almost died. And it was a journey. So the way he is now is not the way he always was. And even when he got on his health journey, he still wasn't doing it the right way, but it's a journey. There's steps to this. And his story is similar to mine in regard to trying different diets and thinking, oh, this is right, this is good, this is good. But he finally came to the realization, like, look, I can't, even though I call myself a vegan, just because I'm eating at places that consider themselves vegan or buying foods that have the vegan label on it, those vegan foods are still toxic. He just came to the realization that I just literally need to eat foods that grow from the earth. So he's a true vegan in the sense that you're supposed to be. A true vegan doesn't go eat processed vegan foods because it's still processed. So the health industry, and I use that word very, very reluctantly because it's not a health industry, it's a death-killing industry that masks itself as a health industry. But the health industry and the food industry, they work in tandem because what they promote, what the food industry promotes, puts you back in a state of being a slave to the health industry, meaning that you end up getting sick by what you eat, provided by the food industry, and then you end up needing the health industry to supposedly heal you from the diseases and from the state of dis-ease that you're actually receiving from the food industry. So it's just a cyclical cycle. It's a sick cycle, to be exact. And what people don't understand is that you're meant to be in that wheelhouse. And they put you there so you can never escape until you die. So what Yaqui came to the realization is that the best way to eat is just eat from the soil. And that's why I try to eat the way I eat. And that's why I do eat the way that I eat. I'm not a perfect eater. Like I don't think that he has the resources, he has the farm, he has the money, he has all the things that he needs to do what he wants. But like I told you guys before in a past video, that I do live in a neighborhood that has a farm. We pay our HOA fees, so the farm is part of the neighborhood amenities. And I tell you what, I never realized what organic crops feels like until I started to eat the vegetables from our farm in our neighborhood. When you go to a store and they tell you that those, certain vegetables are organic, yes, those compared to the vegetables that don't have the organic label, yes, it's better. But it's still not the best. It's the best of two evils. They're both bad because chemicals are still put on those organic vegetables and fruits that you get from the store. I told you guys a story. When I picked my Swiss chard and my collard greens and my kale, when I bought them from my farm in our neighborhood, when I smelled it, it just smelled natural. It just smelled like earth and nature. But when I go to the store and I smell the organic green leaves or green vegetables that I normally get to cook my foods with, they still have a residual smell of chemical. Like you can tell that there's been some sort of chemical that was sprayed on those vegetables. I don't know what it is. So the farmer in my neighborhood, he told me, he says, yes, we can't legally call our crops, put the label on our crops and say that it's organic. I said, well, why? You guys are growing it organically. He says, yes, but you have to go through certain regulations through the Food and Drug Administration. You have to allow your crops to be sprayed by certain chemicals to get that organic label. So you can see how sinister and evil the Food and Drug Administration is. They don't give a fuck about anybody's health. And excuse me for cursing, they don't care about anybody's health. They use labels to entice people to spend money on things that you think that are healthy. Now, I'm not telling you to don't buy organic. Of course, you can't escape contamination. You cannot escape everything. So I want you to understand that, like, there's no way to live completely 100% free of contamination and pollution. It surrounds us. So yeah, if you go to a store and you have a choice to get organic or non-organic, I'd still push for you to get organic. But what I'm telling you is that even the organic foods that are in stores are not as pristine or at its most optimal state as you think. Organic is not even the best of the best. The best of the best is what I'm getting at my farm. And I don't say that to brag, it's because I smell the difference. So that farm that's in my neighborhood, they don't have everything, but they do have the main things that I use. So I still have to go to the store and get certain vegetables too. I don't get all my vegetables from the farm because I don't have everything that I use, but hopefully in due time, as the farm in my neighborhood continues to grow and they get the opportunity to actually plant and grow more greenery, I'll be able to get the variety of vegetables that I normally prefer to get when I go to the store. So I do understand. I empathize with you guys because I was riding to work this morning. I said, we live in a world where it's the easier route that's provided by the system is usually the most deadly route. I'm going to say that again. The easier route that's provided by the system is usually the deadliest route. You may ask the question, like, what do you mean by that, Literary Pharaoh? This is what I mean by that. When you live in a stress-full and a stress-filled environment like the one we live in, where everyone is chasing the dollar and everyone's going to work every day, people are speeding by each other to get to work on time, people are stressed, you're waking up doing the same thing every day, the exercise of futility, the monotony, the rudimentary things that you have to do because of work, the paying the bills, the doing this, the doing that, the running errands, being stuck in traffic, all those things induce stress. When you live in a world like that, what the world does, what the matrix system does, and what a deadly system does, and what a system that doesn't give a damn about you does, is it provides you relief. Or it provides you a false sense of relief that we all get sucked into and we all tend to actually believe in. Those false sense of relief are in foods. A lot of people stress eat. But you being stressed is just the initiating stage of you going down a diabolical path that's going to take you to an early grave. You see, once you're stressed, you can't even reason logically anymore. It takes a strong-minded person, all right, that has a built-in routine, that has a system already established, okay, that has a system already established that they can lean on to help and guide them through the landmines that this earth, that this planet, that this civilization puts in front of you. They're landmines because these are areas that propose to be environments that are going to provide you relief. I'll give you an example. If you're stressed and you're busy, you haven't had time to eat, what is an average American going to do? Are they going to literally go to a store and try to pick out vegetables and fruits and eat that? Or because they're so hungry and stressed, are they going to just ride into a McDonald's or ride into a Chick-fil-A or ride into a Jack in the Box or ride into a Whataburger and get their lunch? They're going to do the latter. They're going to drive into a fast food restaurant. I don't even call them fast food restaurants. I call them fast death restaurants. They'll go into those places and get their foods. Am I blaming people who do that? Am I mad at you for doing that? No, I'm not. But what I am upset at is that when you know better, you should make steps in doing better. Now, your steps in doing better doesn't mean that you're going to cut off all your junk food overnight. Again, just like similar to Yaki and I, we both started somewhere. You have to start the journey. When you start the journey, you're not going to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm sure if you ask Yaki, do you eat perfectly? He's still going to tell you probably not as perfect as I want to be, because the level of the God complex that we all have, and I call it the God complex because we're created by the Creator, and we have certain genetic dispositions that thrives to be more excellent than excellent. We thrive to be better than better. We thrive to be greater than great. So no matter what state we're in, if we can compare a true person that has a God complex in a good way, because the word God complex has been thrown around and has a negative stigma attached to it. But I'm here to say that having a God complex in a reverse sense is not necessarily a negative thing. It doesn't mean that you think you're a God. It just means that you're thriving to always exceed your next mark. So no matter how many goals you achieve, you've never arrived. You're never complacent. There's always more. Like the Creator continues to expand the universe. That same God complex allows man to continue to want to expand and explore and innovate. So it's not like you get to a particular place and you think, oh, I've arrived, so that's it. No, the human soul doesn't allow you to be complacent. That's what I mean by the God complex. So you may compare your diet to somebody else and you may think, oh man, that guy eats perfect. But do you know if you go talk to that guy that you perceive to be a perfect eater, he'll tell you that I don't think I eat perfect. I eat the best way I can. Because when you get on a God-like frequency, because that's what proper eating does, you don't compare anymore. The only thing that you do commit to is comparing yourself to an ideal. Ideal means something that's utopic, something that's perfect. Heaven would be something that'll be ideal. People think of a place where there's no disease, no crime. It's perfect, right? A God complex has that sort of mentality. A person who has a God complex will possess that type of mentality, which never allows them to be complacent, because no matter how great things are on their plane or on their level, they're always striving to exceed or expound upon what current situation that they are in. They're never complacent. So never compare yourself to other people, especially when you're starting off. But even when you believe or think or perceive in yourself that you're doing things the right way, there's that inner voice that's inside of you saying you can do better, you can do better. That's what allows us to strive to be better. That's what put Yaki on his journey. Because when he first started, he was a vegan. He cut out the meat. He cut out that stuff. That's a start. But what happened? He kept striving because he understood. And it's not just him. That's just human psychology 101. When you start something, there's an inner voice that guides you. There's a sixth sense that we all have, but you have to start. If you don't start, you'll never receive that voice. You're always going to hear it. That's what guides you. Oh, don't do these workouts anymore. Try something different. Start doing this. It's subtle. And that's what makes the gains of that journey so impactful. And it actually has more meaning because it's such a slow process. So don't compare your diet to mine. Don't compare your diet to Yaqui. Don't compare your diet to anybody. Just start the journey of doing better. Okay? I know sometimes I'm hard on you guys, and I talk hard about eating better, doing better. I do that intentionally because I want you to feel a degree of anger and sadness of the state that you're in. Because I have to put you in an uncomfortable state, because we are accustomed to being so comfortable doing the wrong things. So I'm tasked with the responsibility of making you uncomfortable in your journey of committing to wrong things, and put you on a different pathway so you can start a new journey of doing the right things. But I first have to get you uncomfortable in your comfortable state. I have to stick you with thorns to get you to stand up, to move from your current disposition, to be influenced and motivated to do something that's greater than the current state that you're in. But when you've been in that current state for so long, it's hard to move because you're comfortable. But my job is to rattle that cage, all right? And remove those chains from your mind and push you towards something that's different and better, because you've been doing it your way this whole time, and how has that worked for you? So I understand it's hard because the system sets you up. They know exactly what they're doing. They have the Starbucks to infuse with nothing but sugar to give people the sugar rush that they need in the morning. It's addictive. People are stressed out. They wake up. They can't wait to get to that Starbucks drive-thru. People are relying on chemicals to keep them awake, to keep them energized, not knowing that the full gamut, the full spectrum of energy lies within your biochemistry without the induction of any toxic chemicals, because that's what we're essentially doing. We're putting toxic chemicals inside our bodies, and it's supposed to give us a spark of energy, but not knowing that spark of energy is actually superficial. It has nothing to do with increasing the capacity of your mitochondria. As a matter of fact, because all energy source comes from the mitochondria, what it does is deplete your mitochondria and weakens it. But you don't think it does, because I drank my 5-hour energy drink. I have a lot of energy. Yeah, you have energy for a short period of time, but you're killing your overall energy source, which makes you more dependent on the 5-hour energy. You see how that works? I'm going to deplete your energy source to make you dependent upon my chemical. If you're dependent upon my chemical, you're feeding the military-industrial complex by spending your hard-earned money on toxic things that are killing your biochemistry. The way you were properly made by your creator to repel disease. A self-healing system that we already have, self-healing. And now all symptoms are bad. The symptoms that you actually receive are a warning sign from the body to say, hey, change what you're doing. There's something wrong here. So I understand, and I get it. I've had my journey too. But that's why I tell people, if I can do it, anybody can. You don't have to be as knowledgeable as Dr. Yaqui, but you have to be humble enough to listen to people who know more than you, and try whatever you try. I always tell people, try something for 7 days consistently, intentionally. Don't try something haphazardly and go half-ass with it and then say it doesn't work. That's disingenuous. Try it fully, intentionally for a week, and then after that week passes, then tell me how you feel. Then tell me how you feel. Then tell me how you feel. If you feel worse, then stop it. If you feel better, continue it. That's simple. But you have to change what you're doing. The path that we're on is killing our people. If you look at Yaqui, the way he looks now compared to the way he looked when he was considered himself a vegan, the man has made a transformation. His body, he looks slimmer, his skin is glowing. He literally looks like and I say this, you guys will think that, oh nah, you're exaggerating, but I'm not exaggerating. He literally looks like a god. But we all look like gods when we're healthy. That's the way we are gods. It's not like we don't even know what it looks like to be a gods in adult form. That's why kids are so adorable. When kids are young, especially like between that age of 2 to 7, 2 to 8, like when they're little, they look a little cute, have a little cute face. We adore them because they've just left the womb not even a decade ago. They're not even 10 years old yet. The pollution and the contaminants of life haven't got to them yet. And even if they are eating bad young, they still look adorable because the sustainability of their biochemistry is so strong that it can ward off the bad foods that they've been eating since birth. But eventually starts to catch up to you. That's why when we see an adult that eats well, that works out, they glow. They literally look like gods. And the magnetic attraction that you have towards those people cannot be denied. Go to his YouTube channel. Look the way he used to look before. He was always short, kind of chubby a little bit. No, he would blame it on his, he would say something to the effect of, because people would call and tell him, man, why do you promote this vegan stuff, but look at you, you're chubby. And his excuse was something about an inoperable hormone that he had, and I forgot what hormone he named, but he said that in his family that it's a genetic trait that he has a defective hormone that doesn't allow him to lose that much weight. That's what he said, and I truly think that he did have that hormone. But just let you know, when he started actually eating from the soil, when he got extreme with his diet, not eating those vegan ultra-processed foods, oh my goodness, you should see how slim he looks. He looks awesome. Awesome. And even me, when I walk around, and I remember I did a while back, probably about a year ago, I did a presentation at my job, and this lady came up to me. She was asking me, how did I get in my position? And she's looking to get into behavior, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know how it got to my age. I ended up telling her my age. She was like, what? I thought you were 28 years old. I thought you were like in your 20s. I'm like, wow, you think I'm in my 20s? I'm not in my 20s. I'm in my 40s. But that's just a glimpse. And I'm not a person that considers myself doing everything perfectly. But if you ask the average person how they live and eat, and then you talk to me, you'll see that there's a stark difference in the way I live and the way the average person lives. There's a stark difference. So I understand that it's hard, it's difficult, but we have to fight back. And before you start fighting back in the things that you do from a practical perspective, the first platform or the first area of warfare is always in the mind. Psychological warfare is where the war begins. There's no doubt about that. If you can win the battle of the mind, then you can start the journey on the right path. And you say, what is the battle of the mind? Well, the battle of the mind is to first make a decision that you want to do something different. The first battle of the mind is to start to look into things that are more geared towards your well-being. I don't give a damn how hard life is. Life can't be so bad. Maybe it can, because everything is psychological. But if you've gotten to the point where your life is so bad that you don't care anymore, that you're going to just seek pleasure with foods, pornography, alcohol, junk food diets, because I'm going to admit those foods do have an addictive element to them. They're not made to be disgusting. They're not made to push you away, because they're made for you to continue to eat. All right? Let me take this call. Hold on. So I have to leave it there. But the point that I'm making is that the system is designed for you to fail, make a decision, to start doing the right thing. Even though the right thing that you start may not be perfect, but you got to start. So you start to build behavior momentum toward the right thing. And the universe starts to listen to you. And the universe will guide you on a better path. But you have to get on the right track first. And the magneticism of the right things to do will impel you and draw you into a realm where you start to open your eyes and see a better way of living. But you have to first start. But first starting means that you have to sacrifice something to give something up. So the foods that we're eating, they're meant to be addictive. They're meant to be emotional fulfilled. They're meant to give you a false sense of emotional fulfillment, short term, temporarily, but not long term. That's why you keep going back to them. When you're eating right, you never feel like you're addicted to anything. You always feel like you're in control. That's what a God does. Eating right and being and operating in your most optimal state from a health perspective puts you in God mode. Not just from a psychological perspective, but externally. People will look at you and tell that there's a difference between you and everybody else. All right? Take care of yourself, guys. I've got to go. I've got to go help somebody with something at work. But I do care about you guys. As much as I care about myself, I care about you guys, because I understand that once you start this journey, you're never going to look back. Start eating right. Start eating healthy. Peace. And remember, your health is your wealth. Bye.